we're going to begin on character 2 for the week. 2 characters. Scroll back up to our random number guide. We're going to roll a percentile to figure out if we have a female, male, or multi-class character. Oh, well, you see, it's the hardwoods, Delcorin, that are really driving the price up. 76. We have a male character. And what race is our male? We're going to roll a d10 and find out. A 2, an elf. I'm going to put elf here because there's a chance that we can go drow if it's not going to be an odd or even high elf or wood elf. So evens, it will end up being a high elf if it's not evil. And even then, there's only a percentage chance, or if we want it to be. There's nothing saying like all evil elves are drow. You can very much have an evil high elf. Like look at King Von Ale. King, if you're here, I love you. Mwah. No? Okay. No. I'm sorry, he's 100% true good. Let's figure out the alignment by rolling 2 percentiles to figure out on each axis. We're getting our alignment. Speaking of evil, 9761. Here we go. We have a neutral evil. We have a neutral evil character here. Not just any cedar, Eastern aromatic cedar, because only the good stuff comes from the East. This beer's pretty good, and it comes from Colorado. Colorado. All right. So, a couple things here. If elf is rolled, we may choose for it to be a drow. So, I do want to ask you all, do you want to generate an evil high elf, or do you want to generate a drow character tonight? Your opinions are welcome. A high elf or a drow? Dark Wolf wants to see an evil high elf. Mola Mola wants to see an evil high elf. Okay. Any other takers? Throw an opinion out there. This workshop is for, with, and by you all. Oh, you know what? I want a little bit different music playing in the background here. If we're going to go elf, let's go to an elven glade. There we are. This will be a nice swap. Alright, we're going to stick with high elf. So we have a male high elf who is neutral evil. Continuing down. Now, what this does open up, if we roll a cleric or a paladin, we might get Death Domain or Oathbreaker paladin. So, something to consider. What level will we, at which level will we be generating him at? Dun, 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 1d100. 47 indicates a level 12 character right there. There we go. That means we get 3 stat bumps at 4, 8, pardon me, and 12. Of those 3, I'm going to roll a percentile, and we're going to find out how many of those are going to be feats. At 41, he's going stat bumps all the way. It's all him, yeah. What is his background? We are going to determine that with a 13-sided die. 1, we have another Acolyte. Interesting, interesting. All right. Personality traits, 2d8. 1 and 7. And his ideal bond and flaw are 6. Divided by 3 is 2. There we go. Isn't numerology fun? It doesn't matter what these are right now. We'll translate them later. We're keeping them as a placeholder. Come back up to the top. And now it is time for the magic golden button of which class our evil high elf will be. You ready? Eight. A ranger. Speaking of arching fighters and rangers, we are rolling up a ranger of some kind. We come over here to rangers. Dun, dun, dun. Rangers get 3 different kinds of fun toys to play with. Their archetype, they can be a hunter or a beastmaster. So I'm going to re-roll the d12 and figure out odds or evens. Odds. This is a hunter. Ranger, hunter. Who has taken one of 4 fighting styles. So I'm going to roll a d4. 4. 2-weapon fighting. Okay. And then lastly, rangers get some kind of a terrain in which they are very proficient to move through, track, etc. And we will roll a d8 to figure out his default favored terrain. 8. The Underdark. Well, speaking of Drow, right? All right. Now we come down here. Maybe it's a high elf that really just wants to be a drow. You know, he's like a convert. He went down and he's like, I can't live with my people. Let me live with you. I don't know. He's maybe he just wants to move down there. He wants to be a part of their world. High elves start at 4 feet, 6 inches tall, and we're going to add 2d10 inches to his height. We're adding 6 inches. All right, so we have a 4 foot 12 inch tall. There we go. 4 foot 12 inch tall high elf. That's what I wrote, 5 feet. We're going to take the same 6. We are going to multiply it by 1d4. So 2, we're adding 12 pounds to his base weight of 90. So he is 102 pounds. Maybe he was adopted by Drow? Oh, yeah. That could be it too, Dark Wolf. Maybe the Drow ransacked an elven village and they took the baby. Maybe they were going to sacrifice it, but they found out he was really useful, or I don't know. If he grew up among them, that he could infiltrate and try and find other surface dwelling elves. That, you know, the communities to go and raid. That's true too. He could have been adopted by him. That's a great idea, Dark Wolf. Now let's roll a percentile to find out how old he is. Yes, Diadems, he is a hunter ranger. 37 is going to put him as an adult. So that's column 3. Elves, adult elves are between 201 and 350 years old. So I'm going to generate a 150-sided die and roll it. 138. So 338 years old. And there we go. We have finished the random rolling for the character. We have an idea about his height, his weight. His age could influence certain aspects of how we conceptualize this character. And we have a couple other placeholders for who he is. Now it's time to look a little bit more specifically. If he was an Acolyte, well, we could look at the Drow Pantheon and just imagine all of the fun buffet of gods and goddesses that exist in the Drow Pantheon, or otherwise among the denizens of the Underdark. Let's go back here to Acolyte and find out what we get. Insight and Religion are the skill proficiencies that are granted to us. We get 2 languages of our choice, so that means we get Common, Elven, and there we go. We get some equipment of a holy symbol. We'll give him a prayer wheel. Incense times 5. Some vestments. Some common clothes. And a belt pouch containing 15 gold. Diadems goes for a stroll on the plains. Ooh, a poisonous snake pops out. You get advantage! Exclamation point 2d20. Jimby, run! Follow me if you want to live. Thank you very much for the follow, Jim. 6 and 9 diadems. You still managed to put down. You managed to put down the snake. Actually, even on disadvantage, you would have. So diadems is a snake charmer or a snake handler. Congratulations, Dark Wolf will award you 100 experience points shortly. And Jim, thank you again for that follow. I hope that you're enjoying the content and what we're doing. You are welcome as a part of the channel to ask questions or to exert your own influence on the character as we're conceptualizing him. Shelter of the Faithful is available. That is free healing and other services, room and board, if you're performing various holy rites in exchange. Now, let's look at the character's character. Who is he? What does he do? What compels him? Let's really build the core of the character. It's not your ability scores, the personality, your expressions, a little bit of your backstory. This is what is going to make your character shine. Personality traits. 1. I idolize a particular hero of my faith and constantly refer to that person's deeds and example. And personality trait number 7. I've enjoyed fine food, drink, and high society among my temple's elite. Rough living grates on me. So in the case that he was adopted by the Drow, that could mean maybe because he's a high elf, he's fairer in some way. You know how, I mean, you get Drow and they have very, bruised black and purple complexions and such. Well, here we have a very fair, almost what you'd expect to find living in a cave system, right? Think of all the pale fish or other creatures that exist completely underground. So here you have this almost ghostly exotic beauty of a high elf. And in Drow society, men are the submissives. It is a matriarchal society, yet here we have a male who is actually working in the faith. And what this might mean is maybe she's a favored pet of some kind of a priestess to Lolth. Well, I mean, Lolth would be the obvious one. But who else do we have in the Drow pantheon? Oh shoot, is it Marglubiet? No, Marglubiet is a goblin god. I'm trying to remember. There's a couple. There's actually more than Lolth that exists among the Drow, although she's obviously the favorite one. But in one of these faiths anyway, he gets to practice and he gets to rub elbows with people. So he's, while he is a hunter-ranger, he enjoys the finer points of life. So maybe he's more like a bounty hunter if you think about it. Ideals, 6. Hey, Tin Cat. Oh, that's great that you all finished up. You know, it's been a while since I got to see and interact with you, Tin Cat. I hope you're doing well down there. I understand it's been quite hot, so I hope you've been staying cool also. But if you want to talk about your session, you, anyone else, Ivalon, if Evelon's in here, you all know that you are absolutely welcome to do that here and or on our Discord in our Tales from the Tabletop section. All right, what is his ideal? Number 6, aspiration. I seek to prove myself worthy of my God's favor by matching my actions against his or her teachings. His bond is number 3. I owe my life to... Oh, Dark Wolf. Dark Wolf called it. She is a psychic, everyone. I owe my life to the priest who took me in when my parents died. Oh, well, I can understand why it's good and bad. If you were still at the restaurant you were at, Tin Cat, I mean that was kind of getting redonkulous. Though I do hope that you can bounce back and you get something soon. And thank you for re-engaging with us. Oh, a town that was halflings who worship Takesis. Well, I mean, there's enough going on with Takesis, an endless array of interests. Yes, Darkwolf has precognitive powers. And his flaw is number 2. Because we are all flawed creatures, even if we are deliberately being evil. I put too much trust in those who wield power within my temple's hierarchy. Woo! Man, Mola Mola and Darkwolf. I know you two pressed for this to be the high elf living among the Drow instead of the Drow himself. And how is it? Are you smiling? Like, are you feeling this character now, especially after your influence? Is this character coming to life? I mean, hopefully for all of you, but especially for you two, Mola Mola and Darkwolf. Are you really getting a vibe for this character as you've kind of called him out and guided his growth as we've gone through the process? Too much trust in the people who are fattening you up, huh? Okay, race, elf. We are not going Drow, but we are going with an evil high elf. So let's look here at elven traits. Your dex increases by 2. And let's see, our size. We are a medium-sized creature. We have a base speed of 30 feet, giving us a 15 climb, a 15 swim, and a 0 fly. We do have 60 feet of dark vision. It would be 120 if we were a Drow. We have proficiency in the perception skill. We also get Fey Ancestry, which gives us advantage versus being charmed. And magic cannot put us to sleep. However, sleep and poison can. We also get to trance. We can take an 8-hour long rest as a 4-hour semi-conscious trance-like state. We learn Common and Elven, and we get a subrace being an elf. Our intelligence increases by 1. Our elf weapon training, longsword, short bow, and longbow. Being a ranger, I mean, kind of looking one step ahead, being a ranger is going to already give that to us, so we don't need to be redundant and type that out. However, if we were a wizard, let's say, we were a high elf wizard, Wizards don't get longbow training or the like. And so you would actually be able to be a wizard with a bow and sword proficiency, which is kind of outside the norm. Dwarves get kind of an odd interaction like this, too. We get a cantrip of our choice from the wizard spell list. So we'll just put HE for cantrips, and we can choose one that seems appropriate. And we also get one extra language. So actually, we can speak 5 different languages. Isn't that something? Okay, that's what we get for being an elf. Collapse this, and now let's explore who he is as a ranger. We are level 12, and so we're looking at this highlighted block up here. Our proficiency bonus is +4. Let's see. No extra movement or anything we need to worry about, just spells known and spell slots. That being said, with this modified character sheet, which if you like this character sheet that we use, you can find the standard one if you type in ! Char sheet, CHARSHEET. If you like the modified one we're using, that's ! Charvar, CHARVAR, Charvar for character variant. Tincat says, our group is very particular about details, so our sessions are pretty much just 6 hours of us asking NPCs questions and laughing at our overproud Dragonborn. In this world, Dragonborns are extremely rare, and even our Dragonborn is technically not a Dragonborn, but a dragon egg that was infused with human DNA while it was incubating, quote-unquote, meddling wizards. And at our righteous and naive priest, James. And a super paranoid ex-slave tiefling rogue. So concludes that adult beverage. It was very good. I wouldn't mind buying it again. It wasn't super vanilla-y, which is nice. It was kind of low key. I mean, is it a dessert beer? I don't know if I'd call it a dessert beer. But you know what? For a hot summer night, it did a good job. Spell slots 4, 3, and 3. So we can fill that in. And we even know 7 spells. We can do that real quick here. Right? For cantrips, for being a high elf, we get 1. Rangers don't get cantrips normally. I mean, we'd have to have a feat or to multi-class for that. So we have 4, 3, and 3 here. And if you look in this column, right, going down to 12, it'll show you how many spells you get as you progress. So at level 2, so we'll put level 2, we know 2 spells. At level 3, we know 3, and at level 4, we also only know 3, and you'll notice we only have first level spell slots. So that means level 3 goes here, and we get nothing for level 4. However, at level 5, we bump up to second level spell slots, and we also go up to 4 spells known. So we come over here, and level 5, we've broken in. However, we don't get advancement at 6, but we do get another spell at level 7. Level 5, level 7. Level 9, we move up, and we bump into 3rd level spells. And finally, we get a 7th spell starting at level 11. Whoops, not... Ooh, 111. Oh, we're epic now, everyone. Okay. Alright, we have some of those details out of the way, and we can come back and fill that stuff in, no problem. Lady Atara, hello and welcome to you. It's good to see you. Rangers are D10 hit die classes, and as we're level 12, you got it. We have 12 of those suckers. Armor proficiencies. Light, medium, and shields. Simple weapons and martial weapons. No tool proficiencies. Strength and dex are our proficient saves. And now we get to choose 3 skills from the following: animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. Well, let's look. I idolize a particular hero of my faith and constantly refer to that person's deeds. I've enjoyed fine food, drink, and high society among my temple's elite. Rough living grates on me. Aspiration, I seek to prove myself worthy of my god's favor. So that might be done through personality trait number 1. I owe my life to the priest who took me in when my parents died. And I put too much trust in those who wield power within my temple's hierarchy. So I don't think something like survival would really befit him despite being a ranger, because he's used to actually being taken care of. Animal handling, because you never see it. Well, animal handling can work for him, right? If he doesn't want to walk and stalk himself, he would ride an animal in order to do so. So I actually think that in this case, it's not that he's lazy, but he's used to the fine life, and maybe this religious figure whom he idolizes also had some kind of a loyal mount or companion of some kind. So we can go animal handling for 1. Probably... If he was adopted by the Drow, and maybe he's sent out in order to scout out raiding locations, if not for food, then for slaves and plunder, by raiding other villagers, because look, he'll blend in with the other elves. The Drows can't. Something perhaps like stealth and or perception can work. If not, I don't think insight, right? If he's too trusting, I don't think he's, I mean, he gets that through by being an acolyte, but like we wouldn't double it up or whatever. But I think maybe investigation, 2 between investigation, perception, and stealth might work. I don't know. Any of those ringing out to you? We get 2 more. Stealth being around Drow seems natural. Okay, so we'll fill in stealth and he gets 1 more. And, you know, you could argue that survival is being able to scrounge up berries. It does also technically include tracking people. But that's what you have spells for. Spells are a lot more clean than going through all the brambles and the thorns and everything yourself, right? You don't have brambles and thorns in the Underdark. It's a very pure place. It's wonderful. Constant temperature, constant humidity. You know, you can count on it. It's like clockwork down there. Maybe knowledge nature wouldn't be a bad one. But he gets 1 more skill. 1 more. 1 more thing, Jackie. We're looking at athletics, investigation, nature. Oh, he already has perception because he's an elf. So we're looking at athletics, investigation, nature, and possibly survival. I mean, I don't necessarily think so. He does seem kind of spoiled, and rangers do have spells to try and track people down. I don't know. I'm sorry, my big old head is blocking some of this over here. The problem is if I scroll too far, right? So I have to kind of lean over. Athletics, investigation, or nature. Nature, athletic. What? Oh, how about this? Why don't we go nature, right? If he was raised in the Underdark, he needs to kind of blend in with the elves that live above ground. And so being able to identify, like, why, yes, this is an elven tree. I know this because I, too, am an elf. Just like you, elven gentlemen, are also elves. So we can give him nature. Oh, Darkwolf wants athletics? We could go athletics. He could be strong. He could be a burly elf. Exactly. Hello, fellow elves. Are you doing elf things today? By chance, where is your closest elven village? Where the elves live? Well, if we have 2 in the chat who want athletics, I will change nature to athletics. And he's a strong boy. He's a burly boy. So in this case now, we've kind of moved on to a Gaston from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, which is perfectly fine. That may very well fit him as well. Let's see. Equipment. Scale mail or leather armor. Well, I think we can give him scale. No problem with that. Scale mail. 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons. Well, he is a dual weapon fighter, so why don't we give him 2 short swords? A Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack? Well, they're almost the same, but if he does need to navigating the Underdark, maybe an Explorer's pack. If he's technically out exploring, trying to find, other elven settlements, he's exploring the surface, so he needs surface equipment. A longbow and a quiver of arrows. Oh, you think Dungeoneering pack diadems? Lady is trying to picture a burly elf. Well, yeah, well, nature, he probably wouldn't know as much. He hasn't experienced it, but you got to remember it's book learning. Experience is more of a wisdom thing. Now, experiencing nature is more like survival. Knowing about nature is more of an intelligence-based, and it's for, like, the knowledge of nature. Lady, if Darkwolf isn't working on this character herself, I'm sure you could look up some burly elves. I'll just tell you, depending on if you have anyone over your shoulder, you might want safe search on Google, But burly elves do exist. Okay, we now move out and we are getting our abilities for our class. We start out with our favored enemy. Beginning at first level, you have significant experience studying, tracking, hunting, and even talking to a certain type of enemy. Choose a favored type. Aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giants, monstrosities, oozes, plants, or undead. Alternatively, you can select 2 races of humanoid, such as Gadols and Orcs, as favored enemies. Tin Cat, burly elves, my kink. Let's see. You choose an additional favorite enemy at 6th and 14th. So we'll actually get favored enemy. He was probably brought up to hunt elves. There's an anime about that called Those Who Hunt Elves. So if that's the case, we get 2 races of humanoid as favored enemies. And if one of those are elves, what could the other race of humanoids be? Would they be humans? Would they be dwarves? Would they be tieflings? Orcs? Something monstrous, like gnolls? What would you see being another humanoid-type enemy that he was brought up to hunt? Tin Cat, you think dwarves? Yeah, you know, Drow and dwarves do combat each other. Unoriginal, you're thinking goblins? We can put goblins down. Elves and goblins as what he's been taught to hunt. Goblins would encounter the Drow also, right? They tend to live in caves and hills and such. They could be a problem. Delcorin is thinking dwarves also. Well, you know what we can do? Because we get our favorite enemy at level 1. Right? Level 1. If we did this, we can satisfy everyone's cravings. Unoriginal, thank you for your contribution and for being a part of the chat in the process. You are welcome to continue contributing and asking questions if you have any. So why don't we go elves and goblins? And then for the level 6, we can choose 2 more humanoids, right? And we can come up and go dwarves. And now we get one more humanoid tribe. What is one more humanoid tribe that he is very good at hunting? It could be humans, right? Humans interact with elves often, and drow and others. Again, we could go tieflings, dragonborn. Does he hunt dragonborn? Does he hunt halflings? Gnomes? Because don't forget the small races, and I'm not just talking about goblins. If he can already target goblins, it's just one jump over for gnomes and halflings. Mew5401, hello to you. Thank you for joining us in the stream and saying hi. Good morning to you, if it is such. At least here it's 2:10 a.m. Diadems, you're thinking tieflings or humans? Anyone else with suggestions about this other humanoid race that our evil high elf hunter is good at tracking down? Darkwolf thinks that he can pick off gnomes. Well, all right. I'm seeing three different. I'm seeing 3 different tribes here. Anyone want to? Hey, Derek, good to see you. Diadems. Oh, you want to change to gnomes? Okay. So he's also good at stalking and hunting gnomes. You're making an NPC deity for my homebrew. Mew Mew, you're welcome to share your creative process with us. Or if you've run into a bit of a writer's block or you have a mechanical question, you can ask that here too, and we will do our best to help you out. Because look, you're sitting at a table at a game store. We're all a bunch of nerds who love role-playing, mechanics, crunch, and fluff, and rules as written, rules as intended. This is all stuff that we just gobble up. So if you want to share and present to us, you're welcome to. Or if you are seeking some advice, or some mechanical balancing, we can offer that as well. Delcorin, everyone picks on gnomes, so I say humans because... well, it's too late, Delcorin. I typed electronic letters into a form-fillable PDF. There's absolutely no going back. Mew Mew says, I have a bit of a mechanical block. Well, how can we help you, Mew Mew? Let us know what the block, what's the nature of the block, or what you need help conceptualizing, and we'll happily do that. Derek says, I spent the evening drawing and crafting, plot kind of exhausted. Oh, is this getting prepped for another one-shot, or is this for something else, Derek? Hey, thank you very much for that raid, the 20 Side of Life. I love that channel name. That is awesome. I want my character to be able to see everything, but I want to have some sort of range to it. Are you trying to balance this in a particular way, Mew Mew? Or can you give a little bit more info? Also, I will say this too. I and others here can happily help you on channel, and we'll chat live about it. If you want additional support, we do have a mentor network. We have a mentor network on our Discord, Mew Mew, and you are always welcome to pop into our project workshop and and we can help you out here and with this voice chat as well. Jam, hello to you. And for any of you who did come over with the 20 Side of Life in the raiding party, I wanted to give you about 30 seconds, because doesn't that always happen, right? You raid a channel, and everyone's like, yeah, we're going to go raid. And you're stuck in a commercial or something, and the person's like, yeah, welcome. And then when everyone loads in, they're just continuing on because the raid notification has already gone off or whatnot. All the same, welcome to you all who came over. But I want all the range she can see through walls, so she can also see in the dark and has true sight, even if conditions block it. Well, really what you're kind of going for, Mew Mew, is tremor sense. To a point. You'd go with the 40 to 60 foot through walls. Neens, 777, you just came from the 20 Side of Life channel. Yes, thank you for doing so. I'll have to check you all out on the 20 Side of Life. But thank you for the raid. If you all want to give a little bit of a blurb about who you are and what you do on your channel, you are more than welcome to do so. Thank you for coming over and saying hi. We are building a character. As we do here, we do a lot of workshop activity. In fact, you kind of caught us here where hopefully we can help out Mew Mew develop this character that he or she is looking to build. As well, we go through like D&D 101 content here. Random character building to challenge ourselves to be storytellers, to make compelling characters that are not optimal. We make maps, we make campaigns. We talk. We have a lot of good table talk as well. So you are welcome. As I've said to a lot of others, you are sitting at a table at a game store. Welcome aboard. Have fun. Interact. Say hi. And even if I'm presenting something up here, know that you are welcome to ask questions at any point in time, or if you had this awesome moment in a campaign and you wanted to come in and share it with a bunch of people who'd actually understand and get it, you are welcome to do that as well. Here, while I'm broadcasting, or on our Discord when I'm not. A board gaming channel you play every Wednesday. Oh, Neens, that's excellent. If you wanted to, Neens, if you come over, and I do ask if any of you do join our Discord, that your Discord name matches your Twitch handle, you are more than welcome to come over to our... here we go, to our Twitch promotions, and let others know. Because yes, we're role players here, but I guarantee you in the Venn diagram of hobbies, of gaming hobbies, board games and role-playing games have a lot of overlap. And if we can explore our communities together, everyone benefits from that kind of interaction. So she's supposed to be the deity of the planes of existence, so it should be natural for her to see everything in a plane. You're trying to balance it. Yes, that's true. We do enjoy some good guacamole. Break is over. Okay, Diadems, we'll see you in a bit. If it's a deity, don't try and restrict it. Yeah, in all honesty, I mean, Derek and Darkwolf bring up a good point. There, a lot, and this is something a lot of us face. When we're going through the creative process, we have this propensity to try and force some kind of balance onto characters or creatures or the like. And I say this by saying, look, some people make a character that's known as a Mary Sue. It's like a Superman, right? You can't die, you can fly, you have cold breath, heat vision, X-ray vision, a millimeter thickness invincible shield, except for magic, but every time you face magic, you can get out of a magical situation. And your greatest enemy is yourself, but you're at peace with yourself, so you don't have any enemies, etc. and so forth. I mean, there's that kind of a character, which in itself is trying to compensate. But if you just want to make a deity Mew Mew, why restrict what a deity can do? If it's known that it's a deity, it is not a mere mortal creature that has the same expectations or roles in the universe. Or if you really just want a practical bottleneck, sure, you have someone who can see everything, hear everything, sense and taste and whatnot everything. But how many of those can they process at once? If you can hear everyone speaking in a mile radius, how do you decide which voice is most important? How do you know where to turn your eyes? How do you know how to filter? How can so if you want that, you can put the bottleneck at the actual ability. You can perceive everything. You have the ability to perceive everything. But maybe you don't have the ability to understand it or filter it or hone in on things. And actually, in a way, that's almost a curse. Especially if your name's being invoked, and what happens? If your followers are praying to you, does that take priority? Must you hear their prayers and look in on them first? So as you're trying to track someone down as this deity through a plane of existence, and suddenly it's a Sunday church service, and for the next hour and a half, you cannot see or hear anything outside of the prayers that are directed towards you, because you have to prioritize? Is that a balancing factor? In the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's balanced, but it's still a consideration. I mean, if we're talking about balancing deities, Mew Mew, I think we'd really then need to see the other gods in your pantheon to be able to determine, because all of these gods are going to have lines in the cosmic sand. Because it's difficult to say if something is balanced unless there's something against which to balance it. So looking at one god in a pantheon that you wish to overarchingly balance, not just a singular god, but an entire pantheon, can be a little bit difficult to do. 20side, you do your D&D show Sunday nights at 8. Excellent. Please, share that information with our community. I'm definitely for it. And I look forward to being able to visit you all sometime when you're broadcasting and stopping in and saying hi. I love meeting other gaming channels and other gaming communities. Neens, I broadcast 11 p.m. to about 3 a.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday through Saturday. Tuesday is our role-playing game, so that's actually where we practice what we preach. Wednesday through Saturday is our workshop, where we create 5 characters, a map, and then on Saturday, we do a party examination, and together, we create a campaign outline that you can take and use at home if you really wanted to. Oh, this is your first. Okay, I'm sorry. From the way that you're putting something out there, from the way that you're saying, it sounded like it was the opposite. Derek is asking a very good question, and I think Derek can help you. And like he's asking a specific question about that god, which is relevant. Also, Mew Mew, if you're just in the very early stages of world building, don't worry about balance at all. Throw balance completely out the window. What you need right now, in my opinion, is raw creative power. If you want to create 5 gods, 6 gods, create them and make them the most bonkers, ridiculous, whatever you want them to be. Make something. That way you can judge the distance and the size and everything else once you have it. It's very difficult to start with the minutia of one thing when there's nothing else against which you can measure it. I hope that makes sense. Delcorin, I hadn't thought of the prayer thing. Now I wonder if God hates Sundays. Well, I guess that would depend on the version and the faith, right? You know, and there's other things where how many followers you have dictate your strength among the other deities. And so actually it's a popularity contest, and it's nothing more petty or trivial than that. Which is saying something, because you get the phenomenal cosmic power, but you get the itty-bitty living space of you have to actually be relevant to enough people to have some kind of an influence on the world. Okay, so we have our favorite enemies, and every time that we take... when you gain this feature, you also learn one language of your choice that's spoken by your favorite enemies, if they speak one at all. Well, we already know Elven, so we can pick up Goblin from our level 1, and then we get to choose between Dwarven or Gnomish. Poof, we are multilingual here. Ooh, big character here. Goblin, and, you know, a lot of people can speak Dwarven. Let's just be able to speak Gnomish. We can also put in Dwarven as one of the question marks that we got from being a High Elf or from being an Acolyte if we really want to. Okay, Natural Explorer is what this is. We are a Natural Explorer of the Underdark, initially. And we get a lot of abilities. Now, we do get an additional favored terrain type at 6th and 10th. So we're going to take the D8 and roll it 2 more times and find out which other terrains we have proficiency in, through which we have proficiency in traveling. 6 and 2. So we go back to this reference here, 6 and 2. The coast and mountains. I believe we have a part of our map that we can develop here. Yeah, Undercommon could be a language too, Darkwolf. Also, Mew Mew, I am not ignoring your creation process, but it looks like Derek is a very good moderator slash rules illithid. And I say he's a rules illithid because he's getting his tentacles in your brain. And he's wiggling your wrinkles a little bit, and helping to stimulate thought. So I am following what you and Derek are going through. Mew Mew, if you want my opinion specifically, you are more than welcome to address me or to throw out other broad questions to myself or others. But you know what? You came with a question, and you're coming away with a mentoring by someone who has a lot of experience in role playing. All right, we have our fighting style. That is 2-weapon fighting. When you engage in 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the second attack. Spellcasting, we know that. Spellcasting is going to be one of the last things that we do, because that requires ability scores, and if you're new here, ability scores are not the most important part of your character. Please understand that. Yes, they do empower your character, but they are not the most important part. So we'll do that last after we have the actual character built. Right? We're building a chassis, and then we'll drop the engine in last. We get our Ranger Archetype. And we'll fill that in after we get our basic Ranger abilities here under our class features. We get Primeval Awareness, which is a very good sensory ability. And an extra attack. Land Stride, so we are very mobile. We can also hide in plain sight. And as we are 12th level, that's it. We do not get to vanish just yet. Tin Cat's Rogue has 3 15s, but I have a +6 in stealth. Did you do that from, did you min-max your point buy, or was that through, did you roll up your stats, Tin Cat? Now let's go to our Hunter and find out what our Hunter archetype gives us. We gain one of the following features. We'll roll a d3 to randomize it. 1. We are a Colossus Slayer. That means your tenacity can wear down most potent foes. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature takes an extra 1d8 damage if it's below its hit point maximum. You can deal this extra damage only once per turn. Is it in the D&D rule set? Well, so do you mean... Well, so if it's Judeo-Christian, are you looking for this really to just be... Is this a monotheistic society? And there's nothing wrong with that. Mew Mew, I run a monotheistic campaign world. So is that what you mean? Or... I'm not sure that I got what your answer was. I know you and Derek are talking, but again, I'm watching and paying attention to what's happening. Tin Cat, I get bonuses with the Tiefling, so you just pick scores, so you didn't have anything super crazy. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Roger. We also get defensive tactics of some kind, also a D3. And also 1. Escape the Horde. Opportunity attacks against you are made with disadvantage. Ooh, that's actually pretty good. Especially when that elven village you're scouting finally realizes what you're up to and tries to drive you out of town. We also get multi-attack. At 11th level, you gain one of the following features. Volley or a whirlwind attack. So I'm going to roll a d12 and we'll just go odds or evens. Even, so we're going to go whirlwind attack. You can use your action to make a melee attack against any number of creatures within 5 feet of you with a separate attack roll for each target. And we're not high enough yet to get Superior Hunter's Defense. So, there we go, though. Those are our class and our archetype features. With everything set in place, we have our chassis. Now it's time to drop the engine into our character. As you can see, we use the standard array in our workshop characters. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. And it's up for us now to decide which abilities do we wish to favor. Do we want to make a strength-based ranger, a dex? Wisdom is useful for our spells if we cast, for our potency of our spells. But rangers aren't as beholden to a high wisdom as, say, a wizard is to intelligence. If you're making a ranger, I mean, depending on the spells you eventually want to take, having a super high wisdom isn't as important as perhaps having offensive and or defensive abilities that are the standard type. So yeah, we can ask, well, do we want to make him a strength-based character? Dex can be good, especially, look, with a ranger, if you go dual weapon fighting and you're wielding finesse weapons, you can go nuts. Because dexterity is great because it is both an offensive and a defensive stat simultaneously. You know, does this person have a lot of hit points? Maybe, maybe not. He grew up in the Underdark. You know, he is well fed. It does say in his personality, you know. He's used to the good life, so he might be taken care of. He might not have the best charisma. I'm kind of... Oh, I say that right as Darkwolf says that he should have a somewhat decent charisma. And see, this is the fun about building characters with you all at the table. I'm thinking that this guy actually has a charisma dump. He doesn't really know how to interact with people. He's been brought up in a specific kind of a cloistered ability. He's been given a set of skills, but really he's just been turned into a trained killer that the church sends out to do missions. I don't personally see him as having a high charisma, but, you know, Darkwolf, if you do, what is your reason for that? Gotta convince the elves that he's one of them. That could be good support, and I'm perfectly fine with that too. You know, Tin Cat, if you like Darkwolf's idea, that's perfectly fine. We can give him a somewhat decent charisma in order to get by. Though consider this, and this is really where this character that we're building communally becomes your character. If he's sent out simply to scout, then maybe he doesn't have to be personable. But if he's sent out to infiltrate, then yes, charisma would be important. I was thinking he's so fair-skinned in his society, he's probably a sought-after guy. Well, that doesn't... just having a genetic quality doesn't necessarily itself confer a... Oh, you mean to the other elves? Because, you know, how is he so... how is his skin so moist and dainty all the time? I mean, you try living in a cave, let alone a delightful shade of pale. You know, a shade of pale that would make the moon blush. So, yeah, we could drop that in. So, I'll tell you what, Darkwolf. Darkwolf, I want you to give me the stat spread for this character. Take the standard array, and I would like your opinion on his stat spread. Keep in mind that he does get a +2 dexterity and a +1 intelligence by virtue of being a high elf. Yeah, now you're on the spot, Darkwolf. Do you want a burly elf? You can make a burly elf. You know, give him that nice fat 15 or 14 in strength. You know, and he's kind of nimble with that. He's nimbly bimbly with maybe a high dex score. But also, you know, do you want to give him like that butt chin or, you know, kind of that eternal lens flare, like twinkle in the teeth when he smiles? Yeah, you're on the spot. You got to put that 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. You know, this character is a 6-cylinder machine, and we gotta get each cylinder primed with some fuel here in order to really get the character going. I idolize a particular hero of my faith and constantly refer to that person's deeds and example. I've enjoyed fine food, drink, and high society among my temple's elite. Rough living grates on me. Aspiration is his ideal. I seek to prove myself worthy of my God's favor by matching my actions against his or her teachings. I owe my life to the priest who took me in when my parents died, and I put too much trust in those who wield power within my temple's hierarchy. All right, Darkwolf's making a commitment. She's thinking a 13 strength, 14 dex, 10 con. So he might be a little pampered here. He doesn't have a ton of hit points, but he's not losing any. A 15. Ooh, making him a wise boy, huh? All right. Oh, a wise guy, is ya? And a 12 charisma. 12 for 10 cents. That's a heck of a deal. I'll take it. Are you seeing this character as a zealot? 12 for 10? Or is that in following... Are you following the conversation between Mew Mew and Derek? After adding racial modifiers, going back to the sheet here, Dex would go to 16. And Intelligence would go to 9. And now we get to add in our 3 ASIs, our 3 ability score improvements or stat bumps. Remember, when you do this at level 4, 8, 12, etc., unless you're a fighter, and remember, you don't get your last one at 20 because that'd be weird. You get it at 19. You can add 2 points to 1 ability score or 1 point to 2 ability scores. Derek, death is not inherently evil. It's more of a motherly figure trying to care for her children. Life is out of control and only cares for the outcome, not the boundaries. Ooh. If we spend... actually, this is going to be a good exercise here. Remember, you can go 2 and 1 or 1 and 2. And you may say, oh, there's these odd numbers. Oh, we got to get some... Let's get some stat bumps out of it, right? Let's increase our modifier. Well, here's the low-hanging fruit, right? Strength. Oh, yeah, we got to pump that up. Let's give a 14 strength. And, ooh, I don't want a -1. Let's put intelligence up to 10. That way it's at least a... that way it's at least a 0. And then you look down just below it and you say, oh, but wisdom, what are you doing to me? I know I really want a dexterous character. And so maybe you say, all right, no, I'm going to try and power through this. Let's give him an 18 dexterity. You can do that. But then you hit level 12. And once more, you are faced with 2 and 1 or 1 and 2. As we've explored before, if you have a spare ability point to put into something and you're not sure what, I can always recommend, if you're seeking an immediate mechanical return on 1 spare ability point, to put it into either Constitution or to Strength. And the reason being, Constitution, that your Constitution score affects holding your breath and drowning and etc. Your Strength is about carrying capacity and how far you can jump. So you get mechanical benefits from your scores in Strength and Con. So having an odd number in either of those isn't as bad or as quote-unquote like itchy as it would be in maybe a mental stat of some kind. So if we did want to bump Wisdom and say, oh, sweet relief of a 3 in Wisdom, thank you. And then we look and say, well, do we want to make him a little bit more burly? Or do we want to make him a little bit more hardy? And so Darkwolf, in this example, I'll put the question out to you. Is he a wee bit little more burly, or is he a wee little bit more hardy? Oh, and 12 for 10, you said about the hierarchy, about him trusting the uppers, the upper echelons of his temple. Mm-hmm. And that's especially dangerous, right? He was a high elf that was adopted by Drow and brought up in their religious society, and has actually been like pampered and coddled. You want to make him a little bit more hardy? All right, so we're going to put Constitution up to 11. And there we go. Strength 2, Dex 4, Constitution 0, Intelligence 0, Wisdom 3, Charisma 1. Now, with these numbers, right, we have our engine, and now let's send the power through the rest of the car, through the, the chassis of our character. Our strength saving throw is a 6. Our athletics is a 6, right? Our 2 mod plus our 4 proficiency. Down here, dexterity is 8, stealth is 8, acrobatics is an admirable 4, and a sleight of hand of 4. Con is 0. And intelligence, well, we're just going to put 0 all the way down until we get to religion, because he does have knowledge of religions specifically. So he may not be overall intelligent, but when it comes to that particular subject, he is. And when you're building a character in 5th edition, don't feel like you have to maximize, if you're playing a wizard, you have to take all intelligence skills. Yes, that means you're going to be really good at intelligence skills. But because by the end of the game, your proficiency is arguably more important than your score, than your ability modifier, I should say, it's just showing that you've specified something. And so you can actually cover partially a weakness by being proficient in a skill that you don't have a high ability modifier in. Because you will still be really decent at it. You may not be the best, but you'll certainly be better at it than others. Okay, Wisdom. 3, 3, 3, but for the proficiencies, it is 7, 7, and 7. And Charisma is just a straight 1 down the line. Hello, fellow elves. I too am an elf and enjoy doing the elf things. His passive perception is a 17. It is 10. 10 plus your perception modifier, and that represents your natural awareness. And please believe me, it saves so many unnecessary dice rolls in the course of an adventure. Let's whip up his hit points next. At first level, you get maximum. You get your hit die maximum and hit points. Rangers are D10s, therefore you get 10. Now, for the other 11, because remember he's a level 12 character, but we've already taken care of first level. For the other 11 levels, he gets half plus 1 of his hit die, or in other words, 6 points. Your DM may decide to do things differently, so talk to her or him about that. I recommend half plus 1, and the book does as well, from what I recall. Then, lastly, for every level, so therefore all 12, you get bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier, which in this case is 0. So I'm showing the math. Like, if any of you are math teachers out there, I've shown you the math. So you can't count this problem as wrong. So here's the math. This, though, cancels out, right? And then we get 66 plus 10 is 76 hit points at level 12. Yes, Mew Mew, this is indeed. Though this, so this is not the traditional one. If you like the look of this sheet and you want to use it, you can type in !Charvar, CHARVAR for character variant, and it will give you a link where you can download some sheets that are like this, that are rearranged and thematically a little bit different. 12 for 10, I'm not sure I get what you're saying. Initiative is simply a dexterity check, so it's a +4. Armor class, we're wearing scale mail. So while we are extremely dexterous, dexterous, scale mail only allows for 2 of our dexterity to shine through. So it's kind of stiff, right? It's kind of stiff to wear, but it'll give you a decent AC. In fact, if we come over here to Chapter 5, Scale starts at 14, and we can have a dex modifier max 2, so we can go up to 16, and we would max that out. Now, if we did go leather, you can take your full dexterity modifier, but that would put us at 15, right? Leather starts at 11, and we have a 4 dex. So in this case, while we're not maximizing our dexterity defensively, that's the key word, defensively, we would still have a 16 armor class, and that's not too bad at all. Oh, Pemdas, the math order of operations. Gotcha. Nope. 12 for 10, you're fine. I should have picked up on that. So, you know, shame on me for doing so. You can hit my knuckles with a ruler for not paying attention in class. I don't need to ignore you. Don't worry about it. I'm happy that you are conversing and you're being a part of what we have going on here. Okay, now, why I said defensively, your armor doesn't restrict your ability to hit with a dex-based weapon. You'll get your full dex for that. That's fine. So for our short swords, which are finesse weapons, and that's a keyword granting us the ability to have the option to use dexterity when otherwise it would be a strength-based weapon. We'll do that. So we are proficient with short swords. We're going to get our proficiency bonus plus our ability modifier, and therefore we're swinging with a +8. Longbow is a dex-based weapon. Bada boom. There we go. Short swords are 1d6 weapons plus our dexterity modifier, so we get our 4 extra damage from our high dex. Longbows are 1d8 plus 4 piercing damage, as it is also a dex weapon. From being a high elf, we get a wizard cantrip of some kind, and we can choose that. You know, we can choose that a little bit. Let's get through the other stuff first. On this sheet as well, it's so convenient. You have your spell slots and cantrips right next to your weapon attacks. If you are attacking with a spell as a ranger, you are a wisdom-based caster. Therefore, if you take an attack spell, a ranger attack spell, 3 plus your proficiency, I hope you're proficient, you would get a +7 to attack. To resist the effects of your spells, you add 8 to your attack bonus. In this case, to resist his spells would take a 15 of whatever the spell requires. Delcorn goes on an adventure in the forest, outpounces an ogre, and unfortunately, Delcorn falls a little bit shy. For all of you who are new here as well, you know, if for those of you who have newly followed, or if you've come and you're like, well, what's this group doing? If we earn your follow, then thank you, welcome aboard. But even whether you follow or not, there are adventures and other fun roleplay things that you can do in chat. There's a list. There's a simplified. Thank you very much, 12 for 10. Follow me if you want to live. Run. There's a list of commands down below. You can go on adventures. You can draw from the deck of many things. You can act as like a town guard or like a caravan guard with a exclamation point. Who goes there? Delcorin invokes a res please because he got squished by an ogre. You're dead, but not for long. When the spell ends, you arise to find yourself as a male dragonborn monk. Seems good. Mew Mew, thank you also for coming along on the journey. And Technotron, hello. Good to see you, man. Delcorn is comfortable in a male dragonborn monk body. All right, then. Just don't ever fail another adventure again. You can catch arrows with your mouth. And spit them back with a little bonus damage, eh? Oh, that gets me every time. Let's see. Over here, on this character sheet, it provides you an extra place for, you know, it could be spell-like stuff, like key points for monks, sorcery points, lay on hands. Let's see, wild shape, bardic inspiration. If you want, you could even just type in something like arrows, and you have 20, and you can say that you've used 5 or 2 or whatever. I love this sheet for the way that it's laid out in this way. It's very nice. now that, by the way, all of this has been filled in, he has earned himself a name. So if any of you out there have a name, in fact, kind of almost in acknowledgement here of what 12 for 10 said, I kind of want at least, if not his first name, maybe his family name or something. But I do think calling him Pemdas or Pemdas. That sounds elven, doesn't it? I'm Pemdas. And who are you? But I think he should get some other part of a name. Delcorin, is your offering a first or a last name then? Well, Delcorin may have offered one 12 for 10. So you want him to be... Pemdas Pebcak? And is that an acronym for something as well, Delcorin? Problem exists between chair and keyboard. Oh gosh. Very well. I will meet you two in the middle here. Yeah, as an ID 10T, gotcha. Here is a wonderful, full elven name. Pemdas Pebcak. Sometimes you gotta have a little fun. Acronyms can work for names or name inspiration. We've certainly done it before on some others. And it seems as if 12 for 10, we had a happy little accident, and this is why you should not be ignored for the things that you can contribute in conversation to a character. Wisdom, we cast as a ranger. Spellcasting, it was 15 with a +7. There we go. And really, I mean, the last thing would be just choosing spells. And I mean, we can sit back and do that, but I'm going to have to get up and take another break here shortly. So, I will let you all consider if you want to imagine what spells that a character like this would take. We get one High Elf Wizard cantrip. And then we get 2, 3, 4, 5. We get 7 Ranger spells fitted in slots here. Now, it is important to note, as a Ranger, you know, this is the very basic spell outlay. You do get some flexibility every time you level up with your Ranger to move some spell slots and other things around. It doesn't have to look like this. But as we're doing a very basic, like D&D 101, I will make you aware of it, but do the research yourself if you want to juggle your spells or change your spells between levels. Because as we generate the character, the spell list is going to be his final spell list at this level, at this snapshot of the character. Well, there's... I'm not sure I get what you mean by drow spells, Dark Wolf. 12 for 10, that's not a problem at all. A lot of what we discuss, I mean, yeah, there's mechanics, and if you stick around the channel, you know, long enough, you know, if you come back and you hang out with us even a couple times a week, you'll get the mechanics of 5e. It's not that bad. But if you've played D&D before, or you read a lot of books and are fantasy, or you're a writer or whatever, and I'm not just limiting, you know, in that regard, a lot of what we do is conceptual. Can we connect the dots? Can we make beautiful constellations out of a random pattern of stars? That's the core. That's the living, breathing heart of the channel. Is the storytelling, is the mental gymnastics and exercises to create compelling content based on some random variables. And if you've played 2e, you've done plenty of that. Oh, gotcha. So he could have picked up those spells. Yeah, and you know what? Even if those aren't traditionally ranger spells, Dark Wolf, you do bring up a good point. Talk to your DM and say, well, look, if my character was raised by Drow, I understand that maybe some of these spells aren't ranger spells, but I would have been taught, and I'm willing to use one of my available spell slots to learn it, because it's something that would have been instilled in me as a ward of the Drow growing up. So Dark Wolf, that is a very good point about this character's spell list. But I need to get up. I'm going to take a 5-10 minute break somewhere around there. You all feel free to do the same, or you can hang out and chat. You can role play. You can go on the adventures down below. Actually, speaking of which, before I go, if you want to have a little bit more fun also, since you did make it to part 3 now of the broadcast, there's 40 points for you all as a show of appreciation. So you can have some fun with that. Stick around. You can draw from the deck of many things. You can duel each other. You can go on adventures like ! Random Plains, PLAINS, all one word. And, you know, fight a monster, get some experience points, and have some fun. You can roleplay if you use the command /ME space whatever you're narrating you're doing. And it will change the color of your text to match your Twitch handle color. And that can indicate role-playing, action, stuff like that. So, you all sit tight. I will be back in a little bit. And, I don't know. We'll see where things go. If Mew Mew... Mew Mew, how do you close the side panel? You see there's little arrows on the side, these little dark gray arrows. If you're looking in the middle of here, I'll try and highlight, and so follow the blue on the PHB side, and you see this dark arrow in the margin that can expand and contract PDF margins in some ways. Right? You get them on different sides like that. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. BRB.